You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Young and the Restless fans. So we're going to talk about the absolute worst storylines of 2024 on the CBS soap. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to talk about Sharon and Phyllis and Kyle and Chelsea and others in this top 5 countdown. Some of these stories were just bad from the concept phase. Others twisted midstream and went off the rails in mediocre rewrites, and some of them really angered fans. And hey, please subscribe if you're not following us. Now, let's dive in with number 5 on our list of the worst plots on Y&R this year as we count down to the number 1 worst storyline of 2024. So my number 5 worst storyline on Y&R is actually a combo of 3 storylines, because doing them at the same time was just poor planning. That's the best way to describe this. 1 mental health storyline is fine, 2 is redundant, and 3 is just insane. I mean, maybe Josh Griffith thought that they were distinct storylines because there were 3 different diagnoses. Connor had OCD, Ashley had DID, and Sharon had a bipolar meltdown caused by Jordan tampering with her meds. The main issue with Connor's was that it happened mostly off screen. When Judah Mackey was on screen, I thought he did a good job. But again, if this had just been the only mental health storyline, fine. And then we have Ashley's thing. It was a good storyline, but since Eileen Davidson is on recurring and not on contract, why not just do it some other time? It didn't need to be done at this moment. They didn't need to do 3 simultaneous mental health storylines. The only one that needed to be done at that time was Sharon's storyline for Sharon Case's milestone 30th anniversary on Young and the Restless. These writers should be clever enough to figure out how to move pieces around if they need people in certain places without just Xerox copying plots. So yes, do that big plot for Sharon, but then don't do the other 2 right now and don't overlap them. It was mentally exhausting watching all this happen at once. All right, my number 4 worst storyline for this list is Claire Newman's rapid redemption and makeover into an innocent heroine. This time last year, we had Claire finally out from under Jordan's thumb. She was getting to know her bio parents, Cole and Victoria. And then Jordan kidnapped Claire and lured Nikki to the fishing cabin to trade one of them for the other. And that moved her redemption along quite a bit because Claire saved Nikki and held Jordan at gunpoint while the authorities got there and Victor and all got there. And then just a few months later, suddenly Claire's the nanny that Kyle chose for his son. The Abbotts can't get a better nanny than somebody with that kind of criminal past. We're supposed to believe that the love of the Newmans, a family that doesn't even love each other that well or that consistently, is the reason for this seismic change in Claire that happened very fast. And now they are writing Claire as this little saint, and Summer is the bad girl in this storyline with her and Kyle. I mean, blame Phyllis for Summer being annoying, but she's not in Claire's league for bad things done. Claire pushed her grandma Nikki off the wagon with a vodka IV, and she poisoned the other Newmans. And it's not about the actress. I adore Hayley Erin. I do. It's just a little much for her to go from the bad seed to Pollyanna in record time. Given the severity of her crimes, her redemption was way too rapid, and that's why it's on the worst plot list. My 3rd worst storyline of the year was Phyllis chasing Danny in desperation. I mean, honestly, pretty much every plot Phyllis was in this year was made worse by adding her to it. And again, love Michelle Stafford, but Phyllis has been at maximum nuclear irritating levels all year long. She's like a screech owl in a tight dress. But the Cricket and Danny stuff was just an ongoing low point for Phyllis. Literally all year long, since January, we have had Danny being harassed and targeted by his own personal stalker and former rapist, Phyllis Summers. Imagine if it was a man and a woman and the roles were reversed. think how horrifying, and it is horrifying. And you would think that Phyllis would have some shame after all the dirty things she's done to Danny over the years and to Cricket too. You know, Phyllis tried to run Christine down with a rental car years ago and got away with it. Danny didn't want Phyllis, but she was so clingy and so desperate and so cringeworthy. It was painful to watch her throw herself at Danny time and again. And she is still screeching at Cricket even now. It is the crappy plot that keeps giving. All right, my second to the worst plot of the year, number 2 on my list, was Kyle's entitled Tantrum-Ridden Family Betraying storyline. It might have wound up being a good plot if he had paid in any way for his spoiler brat antics. Instead, he wound up being rewarded. Remember, Kyle told Jack to give Diane the co-CEO job, so his dad did. And then Kyle did all he could to sabotage Mommy Dearest. And then after he got fired for insubordination, he aligned with Victor. That was bad enough. But then stealing the formula for a new Jabot product was beyond disgusting. Meanwhile, Kyle stayed under Jack and Diane's roof, mooched off the Abbotts while simultaneously crapping on them and verbally bashing his parents at every turn. The other side of this story, where Jack and Diane dealt with his attitude and, you know, fake the breakup and all that, I thought was the much better piece of this storyline. But in the end, basically, Kyle's given Jack a half-assed apology, and Diane insisted that Jack reward their son's bad behavior with the co-CEO job. Her job. Kyle has been an entitled prat all year long, and he came out of all of his bad choices with another silver spoon in his mouth. It's an awful fail for me. And finally, our number 1 plot, the worst one we think of 2024, was Chelsea and Adam cheating. There's a faction of fans that I know would like to see Chatham happen again, but a whole lot of people don't want Chelsea anywhere near Adam. And even if you did want them together, guess what? They're still not. Tell me the point of this storyline that broke up Sally and Adam, a very popular couple, while still not reuniting him with Chelsea. I mean, I guess the end game was to free up Billy to be with Sally, a pairing no one asked for. This has been like the year of Billy and Phyllis. They are just constantly on our screens. Too much if you ask me. And again, no insult to Jason Thompson, but it's a lot of Billy. Why not leave Chelsea with Billy? Those two train wrecks were fine together. And now we have Billy and Sally on this path to a love triangle with Screech Owl Phyllis. That is from an interview by showrunner Josh Griffith. Meanwhile, Chelsea's alone. She's largely irrelevant. Adam is in some sort of holding pattern adjacent to Nick and Sharon for reasons that have not been discerned yet. This was just the storyline no one needed nor wanted, and it only made things worse, not better. Hey, drop your comments on what you think was the worst plot of 2024 on YNR, and Happy New Year's.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.